Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Elliott with Rickety Ski Reviews, and today we're going to react to some more ski reviews. So I got a comment with someone who was talking about, I believe it was the Blizzard Rustler, yeah, that I had done for Curated, and I had made that video kind of as a response to a comment that I had gotten from one of my subscribers. But they had some really good points about, their perspective from owning Blizzard Rustler. And I just wanted to point out that, I've kind of stopped making videos of skis that I haven't actually skied. I've skied a lot of skis, so there's no lack of content. But I really, after doing that, I don't want to invalidate someone who skied the ski and I haven't, because they made some really good points. So I think, while I'm doing this channel, obviously I'm going to review more skis once it comes wintertime. But I don't plan on doing any more reactions to skis I haven't skied, just because it ends up kind of being just solely a critique of the skier. And while that's fun to do, especially with Curated, I feel like I can provide more value if I'm doing skis I've actually skied on. So it was a really cool suggestion, and it was a funny video for some of the things that I think that was a video where they said the skis are really good on snow. Like I don't have to ski on the Blizzard Rustler to know that that's a silly line. The skis are good on snow. But anyway, so that's just a note. I think they had some really good, some really valid critiques. So yeah, just wanted to respond to that comment before we dive in. Today in the video, we will be reacting to Ski Essentials review of the Atomic Maverick 88Ti. Now, this is a ski that I own. The 2023 is the one I bought. It's the same as the 2024. But this is a ski I love so much that I spent my own money on it. I had Atomic Vantages before that I loved, and then I moved over to the Atomic Maverick. So just want to give you guys a little context of what we're going to be watching. Yeah, and also just some housekeeping. There was some really good discourse about Fisher Rep and someone else who was skiing on women's skis. And I want you to know that if you're watching this, I am going to address that more fully. I want to do a little bit more research and be a little bit more well-read when I talk about kind of the ski industry and where women's skis exist. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I saw the comments, I'm looking into it. I really just want to do a little more research so I can come at it from an educated place, because obviously I haven't skied on women's skis, or at least a lot of them that I've been aware of. So it's kind of a complex issue, and I want you to know I saw it. I'm just trying to be read up so I don't put my foot in my mouth, because I think I did put my foot in my mouth a little bit when I was commenting on Fisher, because Fisher basically said, well, we do have a gender neutral ski. We don't have boys like blue, girls like pink, and that part, gotta put my foot in my mouth. But when it comes to how it's advertised, I will say, I do want to say that I think I was kind of correct in asserting that, like, it's not super clear to consumers what it is, if it's a gender neutral ski or whatever. It's just kind of left blank. Now, in a perfect world, you just have a ski, it gets bought, but I think because so many other ski manufacturers make women's designated skis, if you don't have that clarification, it can be really confusing to consumers. So I just want to advocate for consumers in general, men and women, that if it's a gender neutral ski and it's got, then maybe say that. Or I think in a perfect world, the whole industry would just move to ski manufacturers just explain stiffness. That way, for women who maybe are lighter and they're putting less weight on the ski, they're able to understand who the ski is for. And I don't know, it's like Fisher said all of that. They said, oh, this ski is for everyone, which is great. But their website doesn't say it. Evo doesn't say it. Even Curated had those kind of confusing titles. So that's my 2 cents. I think that skiing really suffers from being complicated with its gear, and I think that the more you can help consumers, the better it is for everyone. So that's my 2 cents, but just wanted to let you know, I heard you, I'm looking into it, that's where we're at. Now, let's change gears, shift into this video with the 2023 Atomic Maverick 88Ti. Now, this ski review from Ski Essentials, this is my personal ski. This is what I ski on, this is what I bought. Before that, I had the Atomic Vantage 90s. Now I'm skiing daily on the Atomic Maverick 88Ti. I got a great deal on them because it's the same ski as next year's ski, just a different top sheet. So this is the ski that I will be the most familiar with, because all of these other skis I've demoed and I get a good feel for it. But there's something different about when you own it and you ski on it like for weeks and weeks. I feel like you get a feel for kind of some of the more subtle nuances of it. So I'm excited to see what Ski Essentials says. I watched the curated reaction of it, and I don't know, I think it was one of my first reaction videos, and as you can guess, it wasn't great. But Ski Essentials is usually pretty keen to stuff, and I think that this would be a good ski on the East Coast as well. So let's see what Ski Essentials thinks of my ski.
Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com. Welcome to our 2023 ski test. Today we're talking about the Atomic Maverick 88Ti. These skis haven't actually been around for that long, but I feel like they've already carved a nice little niche for themselves within the very popular around 90 all-mountain ski with metal category. A lot going on there, but that is a very, very popular category in skiing, and Atomic has kind of approached it with their own refreshing perspective, which I think is really nice. You know, you don't want just a bunch of skis that feel the same. So these are replacing the Vantage skis, or when they came out, they replaced the Vantage skis. We've been pretty open, pretty forthcoming just about the fact that we think they're objectively better than those Vantage skis.
All right, first bit, perfect. I think that's exactly right. That's exactly what I felt. Okay, I'm just gonna say he hit this one out of the park. It is absolutely an improved version of the Vantage, and that's something I didn't see online from a lot of other people. So this is really, really good insight. The Atomic Maverick 88Ti is absolutely improving on the Vantage. And the nice thing too is that it's not like a radical change from the Vantage. It has all of the good features of the Vantage, but it was able to kind of use camber to replace the really thick sidewall. And it gives you a little bit more kind of flick into the turn and out of the turn. I'd say it's like, maybe like it adds 10 to 15% pop. But this is one of the first reviews where I've seen that they've really noticed that and kind of acknowledged that. I will say, when you start saying like it's an improvement from the Vantage, I guess it's kind of in the wording, but just explain like, it has all those good traits though, because as a consumer, when I have something I really like and someone says, oh, it's a big improvement, I know what they're saying, but I get a little nervous. I'm like, oh no, the ski I like, you know, I run in like New Balance shoes and they're constantly changing my shoe, and every time I see a redesign, I go, oh God, they're gonna ruin my shoes. So same with skis. It's like, I was so nervous that they're gonna ruin something that I really, really loved. So far, A+, as always, good skiing. Yeah, good stuff all around so far.
Across the board, pretty much any way you look at it, these Maverick skis are pretty awesome. Atomic has pretty cool construction here.
Okay, he does this weird thing where he like, I don't know if it's the ski, maybe it's the conditions, where he's kind of like putting his hand in front. Almost looks like a crosswalk in a weird way. Fine, it's not bad. It's just a style thing that I noticed.
They call it Omatic, which I recently learned that that's just a different way of mixing up the letters in the word atomic. So I thought maybe there was some technical reason that it was called Omatic, but nope, they just played a little word game with atomic. Now it is a...
Very cool. Some nice slalom turns. I think it's good too. It's nice when reviewers show a mixture rather than like just in the trees or just GS turns. He's got some really smooth GS turns, and then he kind of spices up with some slalom turns, and that allows you to see how they ski with different radius turns. It's I don't know, it's just kind of showing you a variety kind of the scope of capabilities of the skis. So very cool.
A cool construction, like I said. So it starts with a poplar wood core. It's very similar to what they use in the Ben Chetler line, or what's now the Bent line.
Yeah, it may have the same wood as the bent line, but it feels so different. It really has a lot more pop in and out of every turn. It gives you your energy back in and out of every turn. It may share some DNA to the bent series, but it is a totally different ski. And it's amazing that it can come from the same warehouse. You know, it can be manufactured in the same building. It can have the same wood. But man, it's like, it just shows you ski shape and ski design is like a very delicate process.
That is supported, however, by 2 full sheets of metal. Now, I say that with some extra emphasis because these skis are still quite light. This is a shorter length here, but the next size up, I believe it's the 176, comes in right around 1,700 grams. So,
oh, that's cool. He's skiing on the 172 then? Yeah, man, you don't see a lot of people skiing on skis that short. I think these skis are great. Like I thought 176 was perfect. 180 is probably fine, but just for like the way I like to carve, I like to make slalom turns and GS turns, I feel like 176 is perfect. Very comfortable in the woods too. That's cool to see him not just on a giant ski. A lot of people get really long skis, and that's fine if you like that, but just make sure you test it out rather than just ordering something impulsively with a long length based on some kind of chart. The length of the ski can really affect how you ski on it, and I don't know, I find the 176 to be really enjoyable. And like plenty of room too to go in and out of the trees.
For that much metal to achieve that weight is quite impressive to me. And then we do get Horizon Tech.
Yeah, having something snappy that also has the stability of the metal is really amazing. It's that's why when people say like, oh, Stokely's in a class of its own, and it's like, dude, these skis are they cost half as much as Stokely's, and they are mind-blowingly good. You know I'm known as like the negative. I'll kind of tell you all the negatives of a ski versus something like Ski Essentials or Curated. But this is gonna be a weird video because I love these skis. I give them a 9.5. There's not a lot of downsides with it. The only thing I will say that is maybe like a small downside is that because it's a lighter ski, if you let go of the pressure of your downhill ski, if the conditions aren't great and you're trying to kind of cut through the crud, so to speak, if you're not real heavy on your downhill ski and you kind of get nervous, right, and relinquish some of that pressure, you won't cut through. Whereas like something like a Vocal Mantra or K2 Mindbender, it'll pretty much cut through it for you. The Atomic Maverick, if you aren't like super confident, you won't cut through it. If you're confident, you stay on the downhill foot, most things you'll have no problem cutting through. Like 90% of things. But it's not gonna do it for you like some of the other skis. Now that is like a small subset. I mean, everything else, turn initiation's great, float is great, playfulness, turn to edge time is great. I mean, I think these are the best ski you could go out and buy, especially West Coast, like because you want to be able to carve, but then be able to kind of set up lines into the trees. I don't think it gets any better than this, but that's just my opinion. I mean, they do everything really well. They give you the stability and the lightness. What more do you want, man?
Up here in the tip, so that's pretty cool. You know, that's really kind of coming over from more freeride oriented skis like the Ben Chettlers, like the Backlands. Gives this ski some great soft snow or...
All right, I'm gonna call this part out. That tip shape doesn't come from the Bent series. Maybe it does for Atomic internally, but they've had skis like that for a long time. Dinosaur had like the Legend series. Unless you're talking about the Horizon Tech where it's got that kind of boat hole, that may come from the Bent series. But that ski shape and ski design, it's been around for a while. It's been fine-tuned to be more effective, I guess, more recently.
Mixed snow capabilities, despite it being on the narrower end of or narrower side of the width spectrum, so to speak. So that's about it for construction.
Yeah, that's good insight on the construction, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, as far as the Atomic Maverick goes, I mean, these are really amazing skis. They've kind of taken like a really beautiful design and then like reimagine it in a way that it doesn't have as thick of a sidewall, which cuts back on the weight, and then still using the metal, it gets the stability. I don't know, just like it creates a really clean pop. I had someone in the comments of one of my other reviews say like, oh, well this is a carving ski, really? And it's like, yeah, it carves really well. It has a really beautiful snap. It's got nice diversity, so you can hit some really like great lines between carving and off trail. This ski rules. I mean, like, what do I care? I don't make any money from selling skis or anything. I say this every time, but it's like, dude, this is a hobby. I just really like these skis. I think they're really nice. Now, are they for everybody? No, I mean, like, some people would really like Vocal Mantras better. Definitely there are ski styles that would really do well with Fisher Rangers, Salomon QSTs. It's like, there's plenty of good skis out there for different skiing types. But for me, the way I ski, the way I really like to load up, build the pressure and snap out of it, and like especially from having a racing background where I really appreciate precision turns, I really appreciate responsiveness, I haven't skied on a better ski yet. Honestly, this is the best ski I've ever skied on. Now, as I test more skis, will that change? Sure. Yeah, maybe. I hope so. I hope I find a better ski. I'm just here to tell you about the skis because in my experience of buying skis, everything I read is like, oh, just super positive and this is the best ski ever made. And it's like, really, every ski is the best ski you've ever skied? And especially people who are selling this, you know, they're trying to build relationship with these manufacturers. And it's like, okay, so are they gonna really talk badly about it, especially when they're selling it? If Jeff goes on, and maybe Curie is a better example, because I think Ski Essentials is fairly ethical. Let's say they go and say, we don't like any of the heads this year, which I'm not saying. But let's say that they hypothetically did that. Well, like, they're gonna have just head skis stuck in their inventory in their shop. They move skis, they have to move inventory. So for me, I'm not selling anything. If I had a pair of skis that I hated, I'll let you know. In fact, I did that with the Nordic Enforcers. I didn't love the Atomic Bents. Does it make me very popular? No, that's okay though. I'm here for you, because if a ski has a major downside, you should know about it. I almost bought a pair of Atomic Bents. I was like set on it, couldn't find anything wrong with them, thought they were the ski for me, and I tried them and I was like, oh, these are awful. They don't have any of the turn initiation I like. They weren't awful, but they just like, they were really lacking in some key areas that I cared about, and nobody talked about it. And that's the thing that really bothers me. It doesn't bother me that skis have downsides. Sure, that's gonna happen. You know, like, skis are designed for different things. I think the Bents are a little bit more focused on powder, and they do good in the powder. But nobody would tell me the downsides. So anyway, that's my little rant. That's why I'm here. I'm gonna tell you the downsides. And in this case, Atomic Maverick 88Ti. Gosh, I like that ski. That's a very nice ski. So anyway, let's get back with the video.
Very cool how they're able to give it metal without a really hefty, like 2,000 plus weight figure coming along with it. And then taking a look at shape, you know, I talked about that Horizon Tech in the tip. That's paired with pretty darn long tip rocker here. And I think that's very noteworthy about these skis, is the amount of tip rocker that they have. And then there's decent tail rocker too. There's not much splay when you look at the tail.
Okay, yeah, so one thing he's not mentioning is, you know, with the Atomic Vantage, they got kind of the same, like, if you had like certain points along the ski, they kind of hit those same points, but they did that with kind of like a thicker sidewall, whereas these are using the camber to hit those same points. And what that extra camber does is gives you a little bit of that extra pop I was talking about earlier.
Rocker, but just the length of it, you know, it's a substantial amount of tail rocker. You guys may be able to see it best by just where the color of the sidewall changes. So where it's kind of this red or orangey color, where that ends, that's about where the rocker starts. So
oh, that's a nice visual plus. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's nice when they use the visuals. Sometimes it gets a little tacky, but in this case, it's nice that they use the visuals so you can kind of see what the design is doing. It complements the design of the ski so that you as a consumer can visualize it better.
Some significant rocker to this ski, and then you get just that classic camber underfoot. Pretty similar to what we see in Ben Chetler skis and stuff like that. It's not like super high rise camber, but there is some nice energy to it. I would say the metal takes away some of the springiness, but that's kind of by design.
So I would argue that the metal here isn't taking away any of the springiness. I would argue that it's like creating a better top side of the peak of the arc, if you want to think about it that way. Like, you load up the ski, and what can happen is, like, it's balancing out the amount of pressure and the amount of, like, kind of where it'll bottom out and where it'll build a stable platform. Because if a ski's too soft, or especially for somebody who really loads a ski, it won't allow you to build, it'll kind of cap out how much pressure you can put into the ski before it'll max out the shape of it, and it won't be able to give you any more energy back. So yeah, I mean, like, it could be maybe springiness if you were like jumping, like going in the jumps, but as far as like springiness for the arc, it doesn't take anything away there. And, you know, again, maybe this is a downside. I'm not versed enough in the park skis to say anything about that.
These skis are designed to be a little bit more stable and more damp rather than really springy like you would get out of the Ben Chetlers or like the Maverick 86C to stick with an Atomic's line.
What? It's not springy, dude. These are springier than the Vantages. They're springier than almost any other ski. What? Maybe he must be talking about He must be talking about freestyle skiing then, right? Or jumping? That's the only reason I could think he's talking about springiness like that. Because they definitely have more pop in and out of the turns than the bend. I think if you're gonna say springiness, that can get confusing for people who like to make really aggressive turns, because when you load up a ski and pop out of it to the next turn, that to me feels like springiness. So I'm thinking about like springiness of a turn. I believe he must be talking about springiness of ski jumping.
Now, kind of speaking to this category in general, there's a lot of skis in here. I think it's very fair to say that the Maverick 88Ti is one of the most well-rounded.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that it is one of the most well-rounded skis. And that like isn't as important in the East Coast as I think it is in the West Coast. In the East Coast, you really just want to make sure you can get your edge in, because on days where it's really icy, that's like a big problem. You need to be able to load up and get the edge in and break that surface. On the West Coast, having well-roundedness and diversity is really important, because there's such a variety of lines you can take, and you might have to get on the cat tracks to get to certain areas of powder. It's pretty important, more important than I found it was in like when I skied at Burke growing up. Growing up skiing at Burke, it was like you could free ski on race skis for the majority of days, maybe 7 out of 10 days. In the West, I don't even really use race skis anymore, because I just don't need that hyper aggressive edge like I did. So that's my 2 cents. I think that if you're a West Coast skier, the Atomic Maverick probably provides you more value here than it does in the East, just because it gives you such a wide range of access to the mountain. You could rip on the groomers, you could then take the cat track, go into the powder, come back, and all in one run and really enjoy it. So just adding some context for what he's saying. It's totally on the money, but I just want to add some context. Also, beautiful skiing. Like, I kind of keep track of it. Someone made a comment that their ski style is the same, so they're like watching the same skiing with different skis. I would argue actually that I'm noticing like little subtle things, that his skiing actually looks better on the Atomic Maverick 88Tis than almost any other ski I've watched out there. So, I don't know. Jeff, if you ever watch these, I'm sure you won't, but if you do, I think this is nice skiing. You look really good on the Mavericks. I was kind of thinking his ski style wouldn't line up, because he seems to like the Nordic Enforcers and the Fisher Rangers. Yeah, the Fisher Rangers one he likes. Anyway, that's a very different style skiing. It probably has the same quality of pop, but just where the turn initiates, where a lot of the energy goes into the ski is more tip-based, for having kind of that touchy turn initiation. So I'm kind of surprised, but you look great on the Atomic Mavericks. Maybe it's not what you're used to, but it looks nice.
If you want a high-performance all-mountain ski, you want something that you can take literally anywhere on the mountain, feel right at home, this has an incredible mix of performance characteristics.
Yeah, he's totally right. It is an incredible mix. It almost like is a little baffling, because it carves so well in the 88 that it's like a little like, wait, but these aren't cheater skis? These are just skis you can take everywhere? Honestly, I mean, I don't need to sell a ski to you. You know, go try it or get last year's model so it's cheaper. But if you can try a pair of Mavericks, they rule. I mean, and I wasn't expecting it. I never skied on Atomic. I have no brand loyalty to them. Never once like raced on anything Atomic, no boots, nothing. But these skis blew me away. I was like really impressed with these. The other thing I'm noticing with the skiing, so someone made a comment on one of the curated videos saying like, oh, you have to drop your hand so you can get into that turn, so you can stand on the back of the ski. To which I say like, that's not how any of that works. I mean, it's like kind of how some of it can work, but what that does is it basically it forces you to be stuck in the turn because you're back here. So what you really want to be doing is kind of what Jeff's doing. See how his hand's close to the ground? It's not because he's tipping like this to get close to the ground. It's because his hip is so close to the ground that his hand could graze it and it would be fine. So anyway, just a stark difference between curated and Jeff. This is real. This guy is shredding. He is getting really low, and his hand tips a little bit. It's not perfect. He's not Ted Ligety, but who is? This is great. This is really good. So he's getting down low, his hand's close, because he's built that strong platform of balance on his downhill ski, and he's got his hip into the turn. So big, I mean, night and day difference, of course, from curated, but I just want to explain that because I think maybe to the untrained eye, those look like the same thing, and they're absolutely not. Tipping in like this, it makes it so that your body here is really long, and it doesn't allow you to get kind of that hip placement so you're standing on your downhill ski. Anyway, that's in the weeds, but in case you find that interesting.
On a groomer, you benefit from that metal. You know, poplar is not like the densest material, but it's still reasonably strong. So poplar, wood core, metal, you get good edge grip, good vibration damping. You know, with
you got those good vibrations. Yeah, that's the thing when people talk about things being damp. It's a double-edged sword. It's like, yeah, you won't feel the chatter, but if you have pressure on your downhill ski, you can eliminate most of that chatter yourself. And a ski being really, really damp makes it so you don't feel, you don't get a lot of like feel from your feet, a lot of feedback, and you can't like kind of finesse the ski, especially on the West Coast where the snow's softer. It doesn't feel as good. And you can't load the ski as smoothly. Loading a ski is kind of like if you've ever cut a piece of cheese, you don't just like hack at it, right? Because that doesn't really work. What you do is you gradually build pressure as you cut. Skiing is very much the same. And having a ski that's not super damp allows you to really feel how the ski is giving and slowly give. And each ski is different, but it allows you to really get a feel for that fine tuning of the carving. You build the pressure in your boot and it changes the ski and it kind of cuts through. It's not the exact same motion as cutting, but it's the same kind of like gradual pressure feeling.
This tip rocker, I think there's something to be said about the fact that the ski doesn't like rip you into a carving turn like some might. You know, if you were to compare it to like, I'd say a vocal kendo might be a good comparison to stick within this width range. That ski has more preference towards carving, where this tip shape, this shovel design, really kind of allows you to dictate what turns you're making when and where. So you lose out on a little bit of like the entry phase of a carving turn. It's not going to feel quite as responsive, but it definitely lays over some impressive carves.
Okay, I understand what he's saying. He's like trying to compare it, and I think that's great. It's nice to know how similar skis compare to one another. But that being said, his downside is actually a feature that people like me like, because I don't want my turn initiation to happen all at once. I want to build that pressure and change the shape of the ski before it catches, so that when it does catch, the ski is already loaded and ready to carve. So for me, I really like that actually. I like that tip design because it allows me to build up pressure in my ski, so my ski's kind of locked and loaded, so when it does lock into the turn, I can spring into the next one. That's just the style preference, but he's kind of saying it as a negative, and I would say that it's more of a ski style feature rather than a negative. Because I really like that feeling of building it up and then letting it grab. So just a preference, but I would say it's not so much of a downside as it is just a ski style preference. And I would say the same thing about like Fisher Rangers. They are very quick to initiate the turn, kind of like what he's saying. I'm sure the vocals are too. And just my style of skiing, I don't really like it as much as he does. So, but that's okay. But probably not a negative as much as a feature, especially if you like that kind of skiing. Take note, it's actually pretty nice.
And then on the other side of that spectrum, you know, you take it off trail, or maybe you're just like making kind of shorter, more skidded turns on the side of the trail, that kind of stuff. And then moguls, trees, any ungroomed terrain, that's where you really start to feel the well-rounded nature of the ski. You know, you can ski it hard and fast and aggressive on a groomer, but then you can hop off the groomer and it's more forgiving, it's more playful.
Yeah, and I promise I did not watch this video prior. But that's exactly how I feel. And especially on the West Coast, that's really important because you're not kind of set into runs as much as you are on the East Coast. Yeah, and I will totally vouch for that. As someone who owns these skis, I really like skiing in the woods with them because I can kind of hop in between the moguls. I can get my turns in and out quickly. It feels really clean, which is amazing for a ski that carves as well.
It's more rewarding. I think that might be the best way to describe it than some of those heavier, stiffer skis, or more extended side cut, or longer camber, less rocker, you know, any combination of all of those things, it's going to make that ski more challenging. So this ski just has an excellent mix of performance characteristics. Yeah, it's just an awesome ski.
Okay. Beautifully said. Exactly mirrors how I feel. I'm right there with you. What Ski Essentials I think is doing is they're trying to avoid talking badly about another ski by like saying this ski does this better than the other skis. They dance a very like fine dance. But what I would say is the skis that I think he's probably referencing here is the K2 Mindbender, is the Vocal Mantra, just kind of those skis that are a little bit thicker and will cut through things. And like I said, that's one of maybe the small downsides, is that if you're not super confident on your downhill ski, I could see your skis getting hung up on things. But if you really stand on your downhill foot, you'll cut through most things. And really, like, are you worried about cutting through crud? I don't know, maybe the weather's bad where you are, but for me, it's like, okay, on a good day, I want it to feel really good. And on a bad day, I just need to be confident. But yeah, I would guess he's probably talking about a Vocal Mantra or something like that. Again, I don't know if he's gonna say, but that's what I'm reading from this.
No structural changes to it going into this year, just a new top sheet graphic, which I think looks awesome.
Yeah, I love when they do that. I love that they do that. It's so nice, because if you're somebody wanting to buy a ski, I got an email from somebody who was saying, oh, well, should I be getting this year's or if they still have last year's? And it's like, yeah, absolutely get last year's, because they're just changing the top sheet. They haven't changed anything, so kudos. It's pro-consumer stuff like this that always is how you guys end up with 2 thumbs up over at Ski Essentials. Cool stuff.
Kind of, it's easier to see these trees up here in the forebody of the ski, and I don't know, I like the kind of, almost looks like some sort of weird suspense horror thriller, like something's gonna walk out of those trees and attack me.
Okay. To be fair, I always rag on Curated for saying this kind of stuff. Like, oh, you got nothing else to talk about? You're talking about the top sheet? In Ski Essentials' defense, they have talked about literally every other aspect of the ski. It's fine. You can talk about that. I don't care. All right, let's keep going.
Hopefully not. I don't think that's gonna happen. But I do think it's a cool graphic. I think Atomic did a great job both with the construction and you know, shaping concepts of this ski, but also with the way it looks. So if you're into that superficial stuff like graphics, I think it looks great. So kudos to Atomic. Let us know if you have any questions about the Maverick 88Ti, and we'll see you out there on the hill.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is that it is a really cool structure, but I don't think it came out of nowhere. It's obviously like very, very much based on the Vantage. And I get emails about this all the time. Oh, I have Vantages. Well, I like the Mavericks. Absolutely you will. I think that they're even they're like 10% nicer than the Vantages. 10% more pop, a little bit lighter, absolutely. So I don't know, that's like the only thing I would say as far as the Ski Essentials video. Like, yeah, mention the Vantage a little bit more. I mean, he did in the beginning, but it's like, as far as design goes, it's definitely taking from that design. But if it's tried and true and people like it, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take from that design? It was so popular. I talk all the time about like how they almost shouldn't have renamed the Vantage because it had such a cult following, and I almost never see Mavericks. It's like when the Vantages stop, people kind of jump shipped over to the Bent and skis like that. So yeah, I mean, I've said it like 100 times, and I can't give a more glowing recommendation than tell you these are the skis I bought, but they are very, very nice skis. The way that the 88 carved and how responsive it is amazing, and the diversity, everything is really good on it. Like I said before, it is a lighter ski, so like if you get into like really, really heavy cement snow and it's just bad weather, it's not gonna just cut through the sludge like a Vocal Mantra or a K2 Mindbender kind of will. But that being said, you can kind of lighten up your turns and kind of wash them out, and it'll still like get you through perfectly clean. It's just not gonna kind of cut through things. But on the good days, there's not a better ski that I can think of. If I was going to Sun Valley, somewhere with firm carving and grooming, but also powder, couldn't think of a better ski. So if you're going somewhere new that you want to explore the rest of the mountain, it's really good. If you're on your home mountain running laps, it's great. I mean, really, like 9 out of 10 days, this is what I want to be skiing on. For the big powder, I mean, it's 88. What do you want? If there's 3 feet of powder, yeah, I'll probably get my Salomon QST 106s because those just flow and they carve well, but it's not up to that Maverick standard. But you know, get a ski for each thing. You don't need a ski to do everything. That doesn't exist. And the, you know, the luxury brands like Stokely and Bomber, they would have you believe, no, even those, they have specific skis that are designated. They're just twice as expensive, but it's not because they're doing twice the job. But anyway, great review from Ski Essentials. I really like this. Yeah, I mean, the skiing was great, the insight was great. As somebody who's like super familiar with this ski, I was ready to like ding them on anything because I live and breathe the ski. You know, when I'm not testing skis, this is what I ski on. And I found almost nothing to be critical of. I think everything I said, I kind of brought up, but yeah, I mean, there really wasn't much to hit, kind of ding them on. So if you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing. That helps out my channel a lot. Also, like, if you want to just kind of get my content as it comes out so you can see the other reviews, like, because I kind of tend to pair them together. I did, you know, I'll do Fisher Ranger with Curated and then Fisher Ranger with Ski Essentials. So if you like seeing that kind of stuff in order, you can hit the bell. But more than anything, just thank you so much for watching my content. If you have any input for me, I love, you know, you'll see me in the comments kind of replying to things as best I can. But more than anything, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I love making content like this, and everybody's been super cool that I've talked to. So yeah, otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.